Well, today happens to be the birthday of Norman Borlaug, the father of the Green Revolution, who gets some of the credit for the billions of people who are alive today and not starving to death. Of course, part of what we have to talk about with sustainability is this argument that's gone on now for generations between the sayers of doom like Paul Ehrlich and the optimists who realize there is something that can be done, like Norman Borlaug. I'm going to now introduce an optimist. Herb London is one of the founders of the National Association of Scholars, as well as its current chairman. His life has more twists and turns than the Fast and Furious movie franchise. Before rising to become a chaired professor of humanities, he rose to 6'5" to become a basketball star for Columbia University. There's a telling photograph of him in which he, in his vertical leap, seems to be looking down at the basket. Drafted by the NBA Syracuse Nationals, our second Syracuse connection today, he turned instead to a life of teaching and took a doctorate from New York University. Herb has always zigzagged his way down the court. He founded the Gallatin School of Individualized Study at NYU in 1972 to promote the study of great books. He was a Republican candidate for mayor of New York City and later a conservative candidate for governor. He was president of the Hudson Institute and is now president of the London Center for Policy Research. The London Center focuses on national security, energy, and risk analysis, all of which bear directly on the topic of sustainability. Herb is also a dear friend and the best of all possible chairmen for the National Association of Scholars. Herb?
Thank you very much, Peter. I was trying to forget my MBA career, but thank you for reminding me. It is indeed a pleasure to be with you, and always a pleasure to be in the company of the president of the National Association of Scholars, Peter Wood, who has done a remarkable job in leading this institution. I was, as he pointed out, one of the founders and the first chairman of the National Association of Scholars, and now the latest chairman of the National Association of Scholars. I was very impressed with the comments by Arthur Brooks. Very impressed indeed. A wise man once told me that there are three important lessons in life. The first is, never climb a wall that leans towards you. The second is, never kiss a woman that leans away from you. And the third is, never speak after Arthur Brooks. Now, this is a problem. I had nothing to do with the lineup today. That was a truly remarkable speech, one that impressed me a great deal, and one in which I totally agree. Let me talk a little bit about the university. I've spent many years in university life. It was one of the reasons why the National Association of Scholars was established in the first place, with two of my wonderful colleagues, Steve Balch, who is now at Texas Tech, and Peter Shaw, who has passed his mortal coil but was my closest friend. The university has become a place of presumptive tolerance, or at least makes that claim, and intolerance. The supposed freedom in the curriculum is startling, but the opportunity to exercise censorious passion is also startling. Books and ideas are shuttled on the basis of political correctness. Speech codes police language and thought. Courses demand ideological conformity. Students are penalized for having drawn heretical conclusions. Censorship is in the academic air for students and for professors. While culture of the West remains the primary object of study in humanities departments, the purpose is not to instill Western culture, but to repudiate it, to examine all the ways in which it sins against an egalitarian view of the world. Since all distinctions among people are culturally constructed, obviously those words are in quotation, and therefore changeable, the business of the curriculum is to deconstruct, substituting distinction with equality, replacing openness with dogma. The academy lives with what I would describe as a soft totalitarianism, resistance to challenge about open debate, the refutation of wisdom in the free market, even the basic premises on which the movement itself is founded. The advocates claim the mandate of consensus, in other words, the avoidance of confrontation. In practice, sustainability as a movement depends on government's regulation, top-down edicts. At a microcosmic level, the American College and University President's Climate Committee has attempted to impose its ideas across the academic landscape. A curious reminder of the sustainability's reach and influence is the widespread movement for what some would regard as rather silly, but a somewhat silly and widespread movement for a trayless cafeteria, based on the assumption that this is a water-saving device. No trays in the cafeteria. What it really is paying the psychological sustainability tax, a reminder that sustainability is always with you. It never leaves you. It's always there. From the lunchroom to the classroom, sustainability roars its head with environmental humanities. There are now over 1,400 college and university programs in sustainability, and that does not include the ideological influence grafted onto virtually every course in the curriculum. These facts have been almost completely ignored by media panjandrums. But the National Association of Scholars has once again shined a bright light on the issue, one that I believe deserves investigation. Through its meticulous study, students, faculty members, and the general public can judge for themselves. In its undeviating pursuit of the truth, the National Association of Scholars report demonstrates that sustainability movement is far more nuanced and complicated than its advocates would have you believe. As I see it, that's a good thing. Sunshine is indeed the best disinfectant. That is what we aim to prove. This report does something else. It offers the basis for challenge. It is the catalyst for debate, and the advocates for sustainability have clearly avoided that very kind of confrontation. I'm reminded of a young preacher who was in the South giving a sermon on the end of days. And he said, members of the church, let me tell you that at the end of days, there will be crying, there will be wailing, there will be the gnashing of teeth. To make sure they understood, he said, let me assure you, at the end of days, there will be crying, there will be wailing, and there will be the gnashing of teeth. An elderly fellow sitting in the front of the church said, preacher, excuse me, I don't have teeth. Preacher thought for a moment and said, let me assure you, at the end of days, teeth will be provided. Now, this report provides some teeth. This report gives you the opportunity to take a great bite out of the sustainability movement. I urge you to read the report. I urge you to confront those who have taken on the role of soft totalitarians. Thank you very much indeed.